Okay, it's recording now. Thanks everyone for joining our offshoring remote office event. This is one of the events that we are having for our community to introduce you to the special working conditions under COVID-19. My name is Atula. I'm the lead organizer of Melbourne Silicon Beach. I'm also lead organizer of Brisbane and Adelaide Silicon Beaches. I don't know whether anyone from Brisbane or Adelaide has joined us today. Most of the people seem to be from Melbourne. This event has been posted on all the Silicon Beaches around the country. So the procedure is you can type in your questions into the chat. We're now recording, so we're going to share the recording with all of you all afterwards, all those who RSVP'd, as well as with the community afterwards. So feel free to type in questions in chat and we will answer them at the end, or if you have a pressing question, or if you want to go and you want to ask the question, just type it in chat or unmute your microphone and we can then answer that. Diat is happy to answer that within the presentation. So he'll be sharing the screen. So you won't be able to see yourself or me, you'll just see the screen and his face in a small thumbnail. Yeah, so I'll let Diat introduce himself. We're going to have more webinars like this in the coming days and weeks, and especially things that are useful to all of you all under this new normal that we are living under. So offshoring is a really important thing. When Diat came and pitched at our 90-second pitch night a couple of weeks ago, I thought this is a really important topic for our community, so I asked him to come and present a lengthier presentation. So if any of you all watching on YouTube afterwards or now in the room have something that would be of real value to our Silicon Beach communities around the country, then most of them are startup founders, but many of them are small businesses, freelancers as well. Reach out to me. I'll put my LinkedIn details in chat shortly. And we could have an event like this. We are also open for sponsorship. So we are running these Zoom events, Zoom meetup, everything has costs involved. So we do depend on sponsorship. So any of y'all want to promote your small businesses or startups or whatever you're doing to the whole community, we have nearly 20,000 plus membership around the country. Reach out to us. As of today, we are reopening our sponsorship packages with special prices for COVID-19. So yeah, that is it. Let me Diat, take it away and share your screen and introduce yourself and start. Thanks.
Sure. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. Thanks. Let me put myself into mute, and everyone is on mute. Thanks. That's good. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. My name is Diat. So I've been working with a remote office for 3 years now, and I've been working with offshoring staffs with a different industry sphere for 9 years now. So I'm really privileged to be a part of this event, and my intention is to share my experiences with our clients and prospects during the COVID period, where we kind of have experienced this new normal. And from the very beginning, when this all started, my only intention was to create some value with what we have. I always have aimed for securing a protocol or a structure for companies which can keep the companies functioning even in this critical period. So first thing first, I think I will just introduce who we are as Remote Office as a company, what we do, and then with except rather than just explaining who we are and what are our services, because it's all on the website, rather than advocating our own services over here, I would like to just share some experiences that we have gone through with our clients in this COVID period. But someone's writing something. Okay, just a second.
That's me. I just put my LinkedIn details. Feel free to put your LinkedIn details, everyone.
Sure. Yeah. So at Remote Office, what we do is we're basically a derivative of a typical BPO, business process outsourcing. But then again, like any other companies, we do have our own unique value propositions. So what we do is we hire offshore staffs for dedicated staffs for companies over here in Melbourne, in Sydney, and other part of the world as well. So the values we create, we basically have changed our propositions during COVID a little bit, just to make sure that we open up, we accommodate as much as possible to businesses around. So this is something that I wrote basically a few days back, that we all know downsizing is hard. We don't want to let go of our staffs, but sometimes it's really, really important that we keep on functioning, we also experienced that in critical situation, rather than shrinking down the operations, rather than shrinking down the vision, it sometimes is possible that with smart moves, with allocating right resources, in terms of by meaning right resources, I mean allocating right financial resources, we can make sure that we even can double our market penetration at times. So in short, I think during COVID, we basically took some steps. We reduced our price by 30% at some cases in some services. We changed our price structure entirely. Previously, the entire price structure was different. When we were offering staffs, we used to charge for team leaders, and right now it's a very flat structure where you can just select your team members and just design your team however you want. We also have empowered the resources that we've been working with. Working from home is the new normal right now, and we literally do not allow our resources to go to the base station and work from office. So it's a real challenge for us to make sure that our staffs who are working for clients over here, to provide them professional infrastructure, to provide them good quality internet always, to provide them the technology infrastructure. For an example, if someone's hiring UI UX designers, if someone's hiring engineers, then proper infrastructure is to be provided to the resources. So we have made sure that whoever is working for companies out there, we made sure that we have provided all the equipments and the infrastructure to our resources. Last but not the least, for COVID, we have made sure that we have got 24/7 staff support, meaning we've been working with the US clients, we've been working with clients from London, we've been working with clients from Melbourne and Sydney as well. And it's really important that during COVID, we have no limitations in terms of time rosters. So we made sure we comply to the local time zones with whoever we work with during this period of time. So as a unique value propositions, we have, just like any other companies, we basically have our own unique value propositions. One of them is we have an open price calculator. That's what I was discussing a while back. So if you go to our website, you would find a button in the top right. It says price calculator. So it's It's very open. There's no need of negotiation. There's no hidden fees, nothing at all. You can just go there, select your country, select the industry that you belong to, and you can just click on the team members you're looking for or the services that you're looking for. It will basically give you the price. And that is for COVID, we have taken down our price to 30% in most of the services. The other unique value proposition for us is the digital onboarding process powered by machine learning. So we've basically collaborated with a company from Poland, and we basically traded our APIs. We knew like what we need to make sure the hiring is really, really nice and clean. We have always believed that if the hiring is not right, then the entire journey down the line is in question. So we really make sure that we have our own talent pool, and we really make sure that when we're picking someone to deploy to any client, we really want to make sure that the matchmaking algorithm is perfect or really close to expectation. The third.
Yet I have a question. Is it okay to interrupt you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I know our audience wouldn't know. Your company is based in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, isn't it?
Yes.
So when you say hiring, do you hire people from all over the world, other countries as well, or just Dhaka?
Okay, great question. So we basically hire from Dhaka, Bangladesh, because we have the talent pool over there. And also how this works is whenever we have a requirement, so we have our own database of talent pool, we basically post the requirement within our system, basically notifies only legitimate talents who are available right now to be onboarded. And then we basically do the recruitment process. And then in non-COVID period, we provide official professional infrastructure, office facilities, and also make sure that the employees or the team members are available within the same roster that our clients and prospects want to work with. So that's how basically it rolls during non-COVID period. That also answers your question why this has to be in one place, because we also provide professional infrastructure and office spaces to make sure that the operation is seamless.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, that cleared up a few things. But during COVID, so they would be working from home, I guess.
Yes, that's why that's what I basically discussed a while back. That we have empowered resources to work from their home. So this was a really big challenge for us to make sure that our resources are working from their home, but we provide we provide all the infrastructure, we provide all the equipments needed to be able to do the job. Sometimes when it's when you know there are 3 or 4 UI UX designers working all from home for one single client, it's really important that we provide all the design tools. We make sure there's high quality internet bandwidth. And communication channels are all okay. So it was really a challenge for us, but we successfully have done it so far.
Thanks, dear.
You're welcome. So what I decided is today I'll be just sharing. So this is how we work typically. So what I decided is today I will be just sharing 4 different stories of 4 different clients that we've been working with. One of them we basically onboarded them during COVID, and we basically understood their pain points and tried to resolve the challenges as much as possible. So if we put all the pain points together for the 4 different entities we will be discussing today, these are the 4 things that I could put together. The first one's downsizing is downgrading. Obviously, everyone can relate during this period of time. The other one's content creation. We have experienced that our client was struggling to keep up the pace of creating contents. It's an e-learning client. I'll be discussing it later. Customer engagement is another pain point where during this time, this client of ours, we've been closely working together for other services, but then again, we realized that they were in need of customer engagement. The last one is connecting with prospects, generally meaning lead generation. So, you know, if there's no prospect, there's no sales. If there's no sales, there's no revenue for the company. So it's pretty natural that, you know, in critical situation, in any kind of recession, connecting with prospect is one of the major pain points. So the first case study is about a client who's a data processing company containing training on digital assistance solution. A quick summary for the client is it's a US-based company with base stations for operations in China. Was founded in 2012, and since their beginnings as a web crawling and backend big data platform processing company, they stayed true to their core beliefs and continue to deliver unparalleled data direction and decision support to their clients. So what they do is basically they deal with big data. They have tons of data to be processed every single day. And obviously they had to downsize for this pandemic. But then again, they increased their team during COVID with us. So we were basically running the service with them since 6 months, but during COVID, they had to increase the team members with us because they wanted to make sure that their key operations keep on functioning, and also their progress towards accuracy in the algorithm keeps up the growth. This is what I just discussed with you guys. So the services that we have provided to them is data entry and data processing. And if we want to just zip it together, we would call it tagging and categorization as a solution. Now then, data entry seems like it seems pretty simple when we sound, but when it's about working for a data analytics company, then data processing can be really tricky at times. So it's like the process is explained over here. So the whole concept is the heterogeneous pattern of different kind of images, texts, contents, and there has to be data to be processed, and then the data has to be streamlined into different systems for the data analytics company. So if you look closely to how we have basically done it, the first thing is we receive the requirements from the client, of course, and then we do categorize and tag the contents, and then it comes, then the image processing takes place. So there are different kind of images where, there are products, there are products of different criteria, categories. So, for different kind of products, there has to be different kind of image processing. So our people have to understand the do's and don'ts. There are formal protocols on what to understand from what image, and then process it, and then do the labeling based on feature. Then we do cluster, we do content rewriting, product inputting, then task delivering via email, and recheck and feedback. So this is like a standard protocol of functions, how we basically work with the client. So the values we created with this specific client is during COVID, is something that I really would like to share with all of you guys. So this is the testimony from the client. So this is exactly what they wrote to us. We achieved a 97% precision on product matches, an improvement of 7% over the original matching algorithm, which was an improvement we definitely needed in this case. So this is the deviation of 7%. It's basically It basically happened in the last couple of months. And they increased the volume of resources in this period of time because they had to downsize resources back in China. So they wanted to keep up the growth in the precision of their algorithm, and we took place in this case. And I think we could create some values. So if there are any company who are working with big data analytics, working to create better precision on their algorithms and require redundant tasks on their activities to be augmented, obviously, like keeping full-time employees in Melbourne doing redundant tasks which are not a business, which is not a core activity for a business, can sound expensive at times, especially during this period. So leaning up the entire team and focus on core business objectives can sound more reasonable in terms of allocating financial resources in right areas. Moving on to the next case study, it's a digital marketing agency which procures new clients and develop their CRM. So this is a client who've been functioning in Melbourne from 2010. They are working in events. They are working in digital marketing for clients. So anyone who wants to promote their business within the social streamlines are their prospects and clients. So if you want to promote your business through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google AdWords, these guys offer those services. So the pain point for them was connecting with prospects. Obviously, when this all started, people started to stop expanding, and also businesses were really confused what to take as in opportunities and what not to take. So we basically had a meeting together and we tried to analyze that, what could be an ideal strategy for this pandemic to approach to client, how we can create values for them. So we basically worked for them, designed a team for lead generation and the back office team who basically generated their leads, tried to make sense out of the propositions, meaning as a digital marketing company, there are industries which still could run during the pandemic. So I think there are industries like airlines, restaurants, hospitalities, travel and tourism. They were not functioning at all. So we kind of decided that approaching to these people wouldn't be probably the best idea at the moment, because everything comes down to return on investment at the end of the day. So we targeted areas where companies were still functioning and companies were needing promotions. For an example, FMCGs, they were, if you go to Coles or Willys, you almost could see, you almost saw that, these stacks were empty down there. So we basically targeted areas where companies were still functioning and then designed digital marketing propositions and did the lead generation. I'll explain in a while. So this is the services on the right-hand side, which we basically provided as services. So customer profiling and email marketing and automation. If I zip it together, we call it lead generation as a service. So I'll explain all of them in a while. So what we did is we generated a customer profile for them. What it means is pretty simple. It's basically simulating an exact customer for the client. So how would the customer, what would be the preference for the customer, the behavioral analysis, and also the demographic analysis. So we basically simulated an exact customer. And then after we were done with profiling the customer, we basically initiated an email and marketing automation campaign with all personalized contents in it, meaning everyone who received emails, we basically ran a campaign, which literally means that we sent email to thousands of people every single day, but we made sure that all the emails were sounding personalized to everyone who were reading it. So that's where the automation comes in. So I was basically discussing in the very beginning that one of the propositions that we have, unique value propositions that we have, is optimization through automation. So this is something that we always try to emphasize. Like, obviously offshoring cuts cost. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that, yeah. But then again, if you offshore staffs and then you optimize through automation on top of it, this also means that you're basically leaning up as much as possible and you're doing the right allocation of your finance. So so in this case, what we did is we made this entire thing automated. We made sure that, you know, almost 600 to 1,000 people were reached out every single day, and also these emails were all personalized. That means that whoever's reading the emails, you know, they're basically, the emails are native to their companies, to their name, to their positions. So I'll basically explain the process a little bit more on how we basically did this. So there's this new lead, meaning like we created a database of leads for them. Obviously, if it matched criteria, then we basically initiated an email. If any email was replied, which means that if any initiation was accepted, obviously the prospect was found for them. If any, I mean, we basically have unsubscribe link to all emails, which is the best thing to do, obviously. So if any email was rejected, so we mark them as disqualified with the reason for disqualifying. If there were no response, we followed up for 3 times. Within these 3 times, if the proposition was accepted, we obviously called it as prospect found. If within the 3 follow-ups, the propositions were rejected, we obviously marked it as disqualified. And if there's no response for 3 follow-ups, we closed it. During closing, we also sometimes experienced that people accepted the proposition, which means like they escalated further for the conversation. If there were no response, we marked them as disqualified. So what value did we basically create out of this? Number one, I think, these are all my opinion. I think they were wondering how to connect with the customers, because they were, I mean, before this pandemic, they were all used to with working, setting up coffee meetings with people, going to places from point A to point B, making schedules, and then creating deals out of it. So I think the value that we created is we automated this entire process of generating leads, where our client, they could manage to stay back at home but still generate prospects and get into meetings. If we talk numerically, with our dedicated expert team and results-driven campaign reports, we managed to acquire high-quality prospects and fix 18 appointments for the client in this month, which is April. So we managed to schedule 18 appointments for the client, which I would say, if I want to quantify the value that we created, that would be the value.
Yeah, there's a good question from Valerie in chat. Can you see the chat, or do you want me to repeat the question? That's a question that came to my mind as well.
Can you read it if that's okay?
Yeah, it's a question. She said it's not in relation to the presentation as such. She has had a look at the price calculator, which populates a price per month. Is there an option to trial for a few days or weeks before committing further? And second part also, can you use VAs, virtual assistants, for a set period or project only?
Yes, typically, great question. Thanks for asking. So typically what happens is for project basis, we basically did have this plan for allocating resources based on project. Yes, that can be done. We have to troubleshoot that thing outside of the calculator, as it's something that we have to step forward and accommodate. As I was basically talking to you, Afula, the other day, that we're trying to accommodate as much as possible. Regarding the trial, yes, we have to troubleshoot that outside of the calculator as well. If that really makes sense, if that really creates value, if we can create value out of a project, we would definitely be a part of it. That would be my answer to it. In many cases, we can sense out of our experiences that even if we go for trial, maybe the cost to benefit ratio for the product market fit is not in compliance. So what happens is, we know that even after we do trial, this thing may not create great value for the customer. So we can probably then talk things over and maybe consult how we can create values instead of that. So yes, we're both open for trial, and we're both open for project basis resource allocation, if that can create values, if we can create values out of it.
Thanks, Tia. The second part is, can you use virtual assistants for a set period or project only? I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I answered as well. Like for any, not for virtual assistants only, for any kind of skill sets, for any kind of resources, we can go for project-based timeline, and then we can execute that outside of the price calculator, as it's not there. We have to troubleshoot that outside of the calculator.
Thanks. Yeah.
No worries. All right, so this is the third case study. So this is a tech company who were struggling to create contents. This is a great example as well. So pretty much like if I really try to make examples of this client, would be Khan Academy, would be Udemy. So they always try to create contents for their students online. So their pain point was content development, of course. So the content is their everything. They educate their students through online. So they work on developing technology skills to provide better services for mass people, focusing especially on inclusive education. Another challenge that we had, that each content needs to be inclusive in terms of accessibility. So what happens is, when any content becomes inclusive, we have to make sure that the content is accessible for someone who can't hear, someone who can't see. So it's kind of a lot of work to put on a content. We at Remote Office offered them an offshore team to generate contents for their platform to leverage seamless operation. So the solution is pretty simple. What we offer them is video editing and audio editing. Previously, we basically offered this service for other clients as well, but those were for YouTube and podcast purpose. So this is the entire workflow, how we basically work for this client. I thought it's going to be interesting to share this with all of you. So for any kind of tutorials, we understand that there has to be a screen grabbing process, and the screen grabbing sounds pretty simple, but then again, when it's about teaching someone how C# works, teaching someone how Python works and Django, then literally we have to deploy Python engineers for writing and validating these scripts, and then do the screen grabbing. Most of the time it basically came from client, but then again, to make it happen, we need someone who understands Python, Django, and other skill sets. So it was kind of challenging for us. And then comes the audio editing, then comes the audio and video synchronization, and then the sign language should, for this time, I mean, in this case, the sign language, we basically received it from the client where we had to sync it with the actual audio and video. And then comes the final video editing part, and then there has to be subtitling and then uploading. Subtitling is important for someone who can't listen properly. And then regarding uploading into different mediums, what we did is we tried to make sure omnipresence for them. Also, they have a omni distributor platform where we had to make sure that we upload everything properly so that the contents be available to their system and also their social streamlines for their marketing purpose. Most of the times, each contents have got several what do you call it? Each contents have got several formats of rendering. So for an example, Instagram has got different kind of screen ratio. Facebook has got a different one. YouTube has got a different one, and also their system has got a different one. And then we had to make sure that every contents have got their different versions of it. For marketing, there is small versions of it, which basically explains the entire thing. And then there's this long version of it, which is basically a premium version where people have to pay and get into the course. So this is the entire process that took place to make sure that we could work on their contents. Value creation for this client, I would say, during this pandemic, it was challenging even for us to make sure all of these departments, screen grabbing, voiceover, we all know that professional voiceover requires minimum equipments and infrastructures like soundproof rooms and all. So during this time, even for us, it was really, really challenging for us to make sure that all the infrastructures are equipped at home, at home, yeah. So it was really, really challenging for us to make sure that all the synchronization in between different departments are there, and also making sure that the infrastructure is there. If we want to quantify the values that we created out of it, we delivered 79 audiovisual contents in last month and stepped 261 more in the pipeline to deliver in the next 3 months. So I think if we want to quantify the values that we created for this client, I would say we did relatively well for the client, and I would say it's a real value for them that during this pandemic, rather than holding back from creating contents, we made sure that the contents are there and they could offer new courses. We all know that e-learning is one of those industries which has got the capacity of running even more than the normal state. In all over the internet, we have seen like advertisements of e-learning platforms here and there. So they were desperate to make new contents and courses. And we were fortunate enough that we got in touch with them. And also we were fortunate enough that we could create values for them. Next up is case study 4. This is the latest one. The health tech company continued their social media campaign and chatbot support. I think someone was asking about chatbot assistance. I think this case will have some glimpse of how we basically pull this off for them. A little bit about this client. An events and health tech hub from Melbourne co-creates sustainable and valid events and ventures where health providers, developers, investors, and advisors join together to discover tech and launch health tech and healthcare innovations that empower better health for people. Pain point would be customer engagement. So in this pandemic, what they felt is they're not being able to attend their customers, visitors as much as they would expect to. Services that we provided is social media campaign management, and chatbot assistant. If I want to zip them together, I would call this solution client success management. So this is how I'll explain how we did this for the client, and probably it's going to just explain the entire idea. For social media campaign management process, I'll just give a bird's perspective first and then get into details. So they basically have their social streamlines, pretty popular ones in Instagram, in Facebook, in LinkedIn. So they wanted to make sure that their contents are published on time, and also they everything they do is kind of blog oriented. So if they want to explain, answer the questions of their customers, most of the time what happens is they just sends a link of an article, which basically solves the problem for them. So they wanted to make sure that there has to be a team of people who would be writing articles in a manner that it basically explains or resolves certain problems for their customers. And then there has to be people who would be answering to their customer if the chatbot fails to resolve the case. They also wanted to make sure that chatbot needs to be optimized. The chatbot needs to be more and more intelligent. So they are using two different chatbot platform. One is Intercom, the other one is TDO. In both of the cases, they wanted to make sure that their chatbot knowledge base needs to be enhanced through continuous process of educating the bot. So for social media campaign management process, we receive the content from the client. We do publication across all channels. They have an omni distributor as well, which basically makes sure all of their channels are populated with their contents. And then we basically do have our toolkits for analyzing performance and prepare reports. For articles, so here comes the creative part. For articles, we had to make sure the content strategy is based on the customer queries on chats. So as I told before, that their articles are totally dependent on customer queries, because they make sure that they write articles that basically resolve the questions or queries of their customers. So based on the queries, our team has to generate strategies for the contents and then send it to our client for approval. If it is approved, if it is not, then there has to be editing, versions for editing. If it's approved, then it goes for publication. At the same time, through Google Analytics, we prepare the reporting for the client as well. For the chatbot support assistant process, so we create and train chatbot natural language model, perform quality review, conversation, optimize the chatbot natural language model, and act as a human operator. So this is basically what we did it's basically the process that we followed for our client to make sure that the knowledge base for their chatbot is enhanced. Having said that, we basically offered an additional service as well on top of it, which is not mentioned in this slide, is we deployed a team to take over conversations when the bot is failing to resolve cases. So at the same time, one team is basically working to enhance the knowledge base for the chatbot. The other team is taking over conversations. At the end of the month, we prepare deviation reports. Where did the chatbot basically fail to answer? And then that deviation report becomes the next milestone for the team who is working to enhance the knowledge base for the chatbot. So it's a very new client. I'll be very honest and blunt with you that we couldn't quantify the values yet, because it requires time for us to perform and then generate enough reports to be able to say that yes, we could create values for them. So if I want to qualify, if I want to just talk from a qualitative perspective, I would say yes, during this pandemic, it's a great endeavor from our side to create values, and we're pretty much positive that we can create real quantified value for our client.
So dear, just to ask question, who trains a chatbot, and how is the chatbot trained?
Okay, so as I mentioned, that the client is basically using two different platforms right now. And one is Intercom, the other one's Tidio. So we have got resources who has got knowledge on designing conversations, intents, and identities. So they're basically a combination of, they have got this combination of two different skill sets. One, customer engagement and customer support. The other one's designing conversations, intents, and entities. So if you combine these two skill sets together, essentially these are the people who works to enhance the knowledge base of any chatbot.
Thank you.
No worries. So this is pretty much it. Like I wanted to just, rather than just telling what we do, I mean, we have got quite a few services over there stacked up over the over our website. It's called remoteoffice.io. So each and every in each and every cases, if I want to describe all of these services, it's going to take a long time. So I thought, like, rather than advocating on our services, how we do and what we offer, it would be great to just share some case studies with you and express the experiences that we went through during COVID and also before that. For COVID, I will repeat some steps that we have taken. We have reduced our price down to 30% for almost all the services. We have changed our price structure. Previously, it was different. We had a different wizard system in the website. Now it's just flat one page. It takes less than 1 minute to just design your team and see how much it costs. We made sure that our resources who are working at the base station, they don't come to office, but we made sure that we are empowering them with the right equipments and infrastructure even in this period. And we've made sure that 24/7 staff support is there to make sure we comply to any time zone around the world. That's pretty much from my side. Thank you very much. I would like to answer questions if there are any.
Thanks, thanks, Diet. Can you put the website up again? I know it's on the meetup page, but if people want to visit, they can go there and then ask questions. And yeah, you said 30% off, so that's really good.
Yeah, I would like to mention the website URL one more time. It's remoteoffice.io. And another thing is, I would really like to thank the entire Silicon Beach team for giving me the privilege to be over here and just express my experiences. I hope I could express how what's our intention. Our intention, obviously, like when all this madness started, everyone out there I was meeting, everyone had a notion to help someone else, and so did I. But then again, at the back of my mind, I'm going to be very blunt and honest with you that if we really want to help someone, we have to be within our threshold, and we have to make sure that we keep on functioning. So I was always with my team, just like everyone else. We were hustling, we were grinding as well to keep on functioning. But then again, in the back of our mind, what we had is we have to have a threshold, and we have to make sure that whatever we offer is financially correct, not only for us. It has to be financially correct for someone who's taking the values, who's taking the propositions. So if someone's spending money, the ROI has to be there for that person. And that's how, if we can make sure that the person who's taking our services can be functioning within this period of time, that's where we can make sure that there's this SDG, sustainable development growth out there. So as long as the pandemic or any recession continues, if we can crack it in a manner where we can keep on functioning, if we can keep on helping, and there's this rotation of trading financial values, then it makes sense for a business. Silicon Beach, I've been like with this group for more than a year now. It has played really a vital role for me to know people out there, to know like-minded people out there. It's been really positive for me with people with full of affirmation in terms of openness, in terms of meeting new people. And also it has also made me see myself, our business, where we are. It's really important. If we meet new people, if we meet I mean, regardless of the company size, regardless of who we are, where we are from, if we meet new people, we basically can see ourselves, and we can see our position where we belong, and then we can craft the next milestones for us. So I'd like to thank the entire Silicon Beach team for giving me the privilege to be over here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah, likewise. Yeah, thank you for, I think we might use remote office.io for our functions as well. We had to pivot, like I can really relate to what you said, because we were 100% in-person events community. So all our events were, as you know, open co-working days, pitch night at a pub in Melbourne, and yeah, everything went up in a puff, when COVID happened. Then we thought, we are finished. We'll have to now pack up and wait, 6 months or however long, and we wouldn't function. And if we had to wait 6 months, we probably wouldn't see the other end, the light at the end of the tunnel. But then we had to innovate, and we pivoted to online events like so many other people. And now we have to, when we were doing in-person events, we got free venue access. So here online, nothing is free. We had to pay for Zoom. We had to pay for Meetup, upgrade to Meetup Pro, which is the enterprise version of Meetup. We have done that for Melbourne, Brisbane, and Adelaide. So yeah, we had to be sustainable as well all of a sudden, and pay our pirates. We call them Pirates of Silicon Beach. That is a pirate as well, the organizers. And some of the organizers are now unemployed. So we can't depend on them being volunteers anymore. And we need to now start paying them at least a little bit. So yeah, this is really good that we can offer these services together, and think of sponsoring Silicon Beach as well for people watching on recording and also in the room. So yeah, and we could then use remote office services and become even better. Who knows where this will take us? Let's do it. Thanks, yeah. And any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself. Let me unmuting. Okay, I have unmuted everyone. Just talk one at a time if you have questions. Thank you. Anyone has any questions? If not, we can then close up from there. What I'll do is okay, there's some people unmuting themselves. What I'll do is thanks everyone for watching on the video on Silicon Beach TV, YouTube. I'll share it with everyone who came and everyone who RSVP'd as well. So I'm going to stop the recording from there.